Good evening, friends. Thank you for your patience. We're just a couple of minutes late in getting started, but from wherever you are joining us, we welcome you this evening. Whether you are a current Scholé Academy family or student, we say hey to you, welcome, thanks for coming. And if you're brand new and you just want to scope out what this Scholé Academy business is about, well, we're happy you're here too. Welcome. I am Joylyn Blake, and I serve very gladly and joyously as the director of Scholé Academy. And I am joined by some wonderful friends and colleagues who are part of the Scholé Academy admin team. So they're going to quickly introduce themselves to you. And then, friends, I want you on the Scholé Academy team to answer one question for our audience here. What is a school project or paper or something you produced at school that you remember? Something that you did in your education that you remember and you were proud of. So I'm going to go first to Presbytera Maria Koulianos.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome. We are so glad you are here. My name is Presbytera Maria Cuyanos. I'm the principal of St. Raphael School, our largest house of studies here at Scholé Academy. I'm also the manager of the Tutoring Center and the Center for Students with Learning Differences. And one of the projects that, wow, really made an impression, and I still revere it and think about it today, was my fourth grade leaf collection, in which we would go throughout the city, find the specific leaves, press them, put them in the book, collect them, find all the scientific names, categorize them. That was just such a prominent memory, core memory for me. And so much so that SRS level 4, part of the nature um, studies, is a leaf collection just because of that.
I'm guessing if you grew up in Illinois or the state of Massachusetts or a place like that, you had amazing leaves to choose from. Great state of Texas, fewer leaves, but we all know and love those leaf collections. Thank you, Presbytera. Now, Miss Allison Haley, what school project do you remember?
Oh, well, greetings from the state of Ohio. We also have lovely leaves. But the project I was going to tell you about is I remember being in mock trial in high school and being an attorney in that sort of theatrical presentation. And so that was a really memorable kind of extracurricular or semi-curricular event that I enjoyed participating in and preparing for and thinking deeply about.
Allison, it is no surprise that you were a star performer in mock trial. Allison continues her star performance at Scholé Academy. Allison, tell these fine folks what it is you do, what your title is, and how you serve Scholé Academy.
Sure. So I serve Scholé Academy as the operations coordinator, and that means I get to manage the digital infrastructure of the school and help with things like Canvas and Zoom and the school website and enrollments and all sorts of things behind the scenes, as well as working kind of side by side with instructors as they're preparing some of the great courses that our families get to enjoy.
Thank you so much. And last, but absolutely and certainly not least, it's the one and only, the beloved Nancy Parcells. If you've been around Scholé Academy at all, you have probably interacted with this lovely lady. Miss Nancy, what do you remember as a school project?
So I too was going to say mock trial because I was also in mock trial in high school, but a second runner-up was my fourth grade project on Galapagos tortoises that I had to do a presentation on for the first time. And so I had to research and draw a picture, and my drawing abilities were not that great, but I tried my best and wrote a paper. And that was something that I still tell my own children sometimes about Galapagos tortoises of the information that I learned on that day, to present to my class.
And if you haven't interacted with Nancy, you soon will, my friends. Nancy is our beloved registrar and customer service person. And so if you ever send an email to support@scholeacademy.com, chances are you have interacted with Nancy. She serves our community beautifully. And serving in the background this evening is Miss Lisa Mayu, who is going to be our tech support in the back end. And she may be dropping some links in the chat for you. So if you are brand new to Scholé Academy or finding out about us, the first link that's going to be dropped is just a video. We're not going to take this evening to rehearse some things that many folks already know about our restful approach to learning. But this is a great little short video snippet that you can get to know more about us, and just keep your eye on the chat all evening long, because you'll be able to get some helpful resources as you navigate some important choices that are coming up for you in the near future. But for those of you who have been around for a while, we also wanted to invite some important folks and some special guests to greet you this evening. So you may see there in the background, we've got a couple of parents waiting in the wings, almost like they're backstage. They're going to come out and say a hello to you, as well as other recognizable friends. Some of you may know that Scholé Academy operates under Classical Academic Press. So I've also invited some fine friends from Classical Academic Press, both the CEO, Dr. Christopher Perrin, and the president of Classical Academic Press, Miss Joelle Hodge. So friends, you may come out from behind the curtain. Our guests and friends and parents, you can join us on screen. We want to say hello to you this evening. We're so happy you're here. Hello. And we just are so glad that you're able to join us for this evening. Dr. Perrin, we know that your time is a bit precious, but some of our many families don't get to make it to a conference to see you or say hello. And some of our students do not get the personal autograph of the one and only author of our Latin for Children series or our Greek for Children series. So friends, here to greet you in person, Dr. Chris Perrin.
Joylyn, thank you so much. You would be great in the entertainment industry. You're just natural in front of a camera. Thank you for that introduction, and thank you everyone for participating. Thanks to the Scholé Academy team that's been introduced for all the great work they do to make Scholé Academy happen. I just want to take a couple of minutes and say thank you for coming, and I hope that this is a fruitful and informative, helpful event and evening for you. As I thought about what I wanted to say, of course, something related to Scholé emerged in my mind. We started Scholé Academy over 10 years ago now, and we did it because we noted that as the classical renewal was getting steam and growing, there were some parts of it that were so emphasizing rigorous, hard, good work in the classical tradition that it had become what I considered to be maybe an overemphasis, maybe taking a virtue and just going too far with it. And I thought it needed to come back a bit, because we don't want rigor just for rigor's sake. We also want vigor. We want energy. We want liveliness. And we also never want to leave behind the restful spirit that Christ promises to his followers. And we see this in the tradition of classical education, that there's a contemplative, restful strain, as well as an active, energetic strain. And the two strains live side by side in a kind of paradoxical way. And we see that kind of paradox in the Christian life, don't we? We see, for example, Christ saying in Matthew 11, that where he says, come to me, those of you who are weary and heavy burdened and heavy laden, and take my burden upon you. For my burden is, my yoke is easy. He says, take my yoke upon you. My yoke is easy, my burden is light. But he says something else in that passage. He says, learn from me. And in the Greek, it's mathete. He says, we get mathematics from a related word. He says, mathete, from me. Learn from me. So in the process of taking on his yoke and that's easy and his burden that's light. He's our teacher as well. There's something about Christ teaching us, even as he says, hey, put on this yoke, which is usually a symbol for, well, work, isn't it? But he says, then I will give you rest. Somehow, if we are yoked to Christ, we find it restful. We're putting on a yoke, as it were, to go plowing. If the yoke makes me think of an oxen and going to plow, but Christ is a strong ox indeed. And if you're yoked to Christ, even your work, in some mysterious way, becomes infused with the restful presence of Christ. So that's one of several kind of combined insights into the philosophy of education that's behind Scholé Academy. We do want active work from our students. We do ask them to put on a yoke, but we remind them as well that we're yoked to Christ and that even active work can be, in a sense, mysteriously restful if Christ is at the center and if Christ is leading and helping us pull. So if you're new to Scholé Academy, that's just one really important component of the way we do education that maybe sets it apart a bit and makes it attractive to many. And our team here works restfully to bring that kind of insight to all that we do at Scholé Academy. So let me be that. Greetings to you. Thank you for coming tonight. We really appreciate you setting aside some time this evening. Thank you.
Dr. Perrin, thank you so much for sharing some of that basis of our Scholé Academy philosophy. And the funny thing is, I don't think that we even planned for this integration, but we teed up a couple of parents to say, how has Scholé ministered to you or been meaningful in your child's education? So I think this is probably a great tee up to introduce Miriam Setien, who is a parent joining us this evening. And Miriam, I just wanted to ask you, tell us a little bit about your family, your history with Scholé, and anything that you think would benefit other families to know.
Yes, it's a pleasure to be here, and just listening to um, Dr. Perrin reminded me of so much. Like, I would go to homeschool conferences as a young mom, and I have been there and heard him speak, and just the word vision really like moved me years ago when I would hear him speak, because I could see the beauty of classical education, and then the beauty of someone new that I had discovered, Charlotte Mason. And I remember even going up to the Classical Academic Press booth and like cornering Dr. Perrin and asking him, like, help me understand these two, and I want something in the middle. And then the more he spoke, I was like, oh, I think I found it, because I could see the beauty in both of them. So Scholé Academy has served us so well for I don't even know how many years now. I used Classical Academic Press material curriculum because as an English teacher, before I had my children, I was looking for just a high quality curriculum, and I loved what I saw in the curriculum. And so I would use it with my children, one-on-one homeschooling. We've homeschooled from the very beginning. I have 3 children. And then it came to a point where when my oldest was in 6th grade, I love teaching literature, and writing and all of that, but I knew that I wanted my children to have someone else speak into their writing besides me, as much as I wanted to be the only one. I knew that it would benefit from them to have other voices giving them feedback and helping them. And so naturally, because I loved the material, the curriculum so much that I'd used on my own for many years, I went online and researched and was like, okay, we're gonna do Scholé Academy with writing. So we started with one course, writing and rhetoric, and my daughter absolutely loved it. She adored her teacher, and I tried very hard not to be jealous, but I loved her teacher too. And then that went on to other courses. And then my second daughter, Elitsa, she also took writing and rhetoric and informal logic, and they both took formal logic. And now my son, my youngest, is taking his first writing and rhetoric class. And so we've just like systematically, had these beautiful courses, beautiful teachers, and we've even taken advantage of the tutoring that Scholé Academy offers, which has been wonderful. And the word restful, like when Dr. Perrin talks about it, like it's true. The vision of having restful learning, so a very high standard, but my kids are not exhausted or weary, but they're still learning at such a high level. I'm so pleased. Like, I am just so pleased. I'm trying to think of what else. They've even made some friends. They've even met some of their teachers, like in person, which has been such a gift. So, yeah, we're so thankful as a family for this online community.
Thank you for what you shared. And I can say we are thankful for your family. Alitza has been a great contributor, actually, all of your family, with even just some of the Scholé Chronicle and some of our online publications and things like this. So we're delighted to serve your family. It's a mutual blessing. And I'd like to hear now from Miss Allison Morris, who is another dear Scholé Academy parent. And Allison, what can you tell us about Scholé Academy and what it's meant to your family?
Scholé has been an amazing gift to us. We actually started out homeschooling. We just have one child, so it's fun. The community of Scholé, we've met so many other parents. You've got parents of only children, parents of huge families, and so that's been really fun to engage with. We started out homeschooling when our daughter was in kindergarten. I also am an English major and an artist. My husband and I have our own business, but I took some time off to homeschool our daughter in kindergarten and first grade. And then she needed people, so we joke we've done 2-year stints. Kind of been everywhere. We did homeschool, then we did 2 years in Catholic school, then we did 2 years in public school, and then COVID hit, and we were scrambling because we did not like the online programs that our public school was using. We're actually friends with the principal of the public school, but it was so not restful, and it was a lot of checking boxes, and our daughter's smart, but she just didn't learn the way that they were learning, and the non-traditional interface learning thing was just a mess. So we pulled her out, and our priest had sent around some resources for homeschooling, and St. Raphael School and Scholé Academy were on that list. And I had also heard about St. Raphael School and Scholé Academy, because the Orthodox world is very small, through Melissa Nasco, who is a writer, publisher, Instagram influencer, delightful person. So I checked it out and was so excited. So we enrolled our daughter in these classes, and we were able to pick up mid-year. And here's what's so funny. We picked up mid-year during COVID. We went and get her enrolled in some courses. And then she did that for 2 years. And then we put her in a classical school. They teach Latin. It's the wonderful classical model. However, it's not restful. And her shifting from Scholé Academy and St. Raphael School into this really intense, wonderful people, but as we got into it, like, oh my gosh, this is so much work and checking boxes, and it's work that didn't feel productive for the soul. The children are so focused on getting these assignments done and checking boxes that they're not engaging with the material in the way you want them to. And some learners are fine with that, but our kid is not. She really wants to deeply engage with the material, and Presbytera Maria can attest to that. She just really wants to dive in deep and have time to contemplate and have time to respond and have different ways of responding to the material. That the classical school we're in, just everything was very cookie cutter. It's got to be all the same. And so she got sick. She actually has had some chronic health issues. And so here we are again, like was checking in with Presbytera, and just because we become friends. It was what I love about this community. You become friends with the families. As Miriam said, you meet so many people. We have friends all over the country now through this school. Dear friends that we've met in Massachusetts and in Pennsylvania, and it's so delightful. So we were struggling with this. Like, our daughter could not be at school because of her health issues, but she wanted to continue her education. And so I'm talking to Presbytera, and she says, "You got to come back. You got to come home." And it was so funny when she said that. She's like, "You know what? We do. We do." It was great for her to have, as a teenager, the in-person interaction, especially post-COVID. The pandemic was really hard. And as an only child, especially hard for her because she didn't have enough social interaction. But now she's back at Scholé, and it's so funny. We're unlearning the that sort of, I hate to use the word terror, but that it can feel very oppressive to be in one of the classical schools where there's this, it's almost like this treadmill that they can't get off. And she wasn't feeling well today. She was having a flare up with her health issues, but she attended class anyway and kept her camera on and really got to engage with the other students. And in particular, she was in her biology class, and she got done with it. She goes, "Mom, I'm so glad I was able to attend because I love this. I love what we're studying." And she's taking a Euclidean geometry, and she goes, "We get to do an art project." And her math classes at the classical school were great. They were really good, but there was so much work that felt like it wasn't really contributing to that deep engagement where you can take it for the rest of your life. And so this is what we love. This is why we're back, and we're probably going to stay here. She said, "Oh, I'd like to walk. I'd like to go back to the Latin school maybe so I can walk for graduation senior year." And we talked about it this weekend. And said, "No, I think we're going to stay because Scholé and the different houses of study allow you to really engage with the material that forms you as a person." And there's flexibility there. I think if there's one takeaway, I'm probably talking too long, but if there's one takeaway, there are lots of homeschool families who've homeschooled forever that are in Scholé and the other houses of study. But if your child has special needs, special health needs, or special learning needs, oh man, this house can accommodate you. And we've been so grateful. So know that if you're new to homeschooling, or you're thinking about maybe taking your kids out because they have special needs, hang in there and talk to these people, because this may still be the best place. It is for us. We're so grateful.
Wow. Well, we are so grateful for the time you took to share. It's really moving, because having the opportunity to be an agent of healing in families' lives is very moving to us and special to us. And I will say, my coming to work at Classical Academic Press has been that for me in my life. And so, without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you all my boss and my beloved friend. And for you students who are taking art of argument or informal logic or discovery of deduction, also the author, my friend's the one and only Joelle Hodge.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's quite an introduction. Thank you, Joylyn. And it's so good to be here. I haven't been back to Scholé Academy in such a long time. It is a homecoming in so many ways, and it's just a joy. So anyway, good evening, everybody. I'm just so honored to be here, and Joylyn asked me just to say a few words, but my journey with Scholé Academy began pretty humbly. I was one of 2 instructors piloting online courses, and back then we had 4 students. Today, I'm in awe of how far we've come, serving over 2,000 students spanning the globe, over 100 dedicated instructors who bring life to this mission that Dr. Perrin was talking about. And As I've reflected on all of this growth, I've been reminded of why we do what we do. And Scholé Academy, it's not just about imparting knowledge. This is soulcraft. Augustine teaches us that education shapes the loves of our children. And here in this community, our aim is to help students not only grow in wisdom, but to learn to love what God loves: truth, beauty, goodness. And this education is a heritage meant for every student. You've heard it here said tonight many times, and we really believe that. Our Center for Students with Learning Differences, it was a passion project of mine, and I was honored to initiate it many years ago now, but we firmly believe that Scholé and this contemplative model of classical education should be available to everyone. And I want to personally welcome each of you, especially prospective families. You are stepping into a community where your children will be nurtured and challenged and encouraged to flourish, not just as students, but as whole persons. It's so exciting to see how this vision started with just a handful of kids and how it's just flourishing in this vibrant community, thanks in part to the people you see here on the screen and to all the teachers behind the scenes that you can't see right now. But thank you for joining tonight. I hope you'll continue to discover the good work being done here at Scholé Academy. I hope this is a start of a journey that shapes the hearts and minds of your children here as well.
Thank you, Jolie. Thank you for being one of the originals, and then also for trusting those of us who now carry that torch. And thank you so much to all of our special guests and parents. We'll have a little special gift for you guys for being with us this evening. Now, I would like to say that I know you parents out there who are like, okay, enough with the rah-rah session, get to the goods. What is the new stuff happening this year? And so I want to be sure that I let you in on what the good things are that are happening that are new, and then also some of just the tried and true and the popular things. So I'm gonna share my screen with you here for 1 minute and let you see some of our new courses, as well as a few little special discounts that we're offering in the coming year that are a little new as well. All right, can we see this? Hopefully we can see this, folks. Our new classes this year, I will not belabor and go over everything, but I just want to give you a glimpse. You can also follow our social media, and we'll be sending them out in the newsletter just to make sure you're aware of everything that's new. But if you visited our all courses page, look for the little golden star. Much like this little golden sticker here, look for a golden star, and that will indicate what our new courses are. In fact, Lisa may even put in the chat right now our all courses page, and that will show you. We are excited that we have a new history program for our youngest students. The incomparable of fun things that are offered in SRS. We're also introducing American Sign Language this year, a new health and wellness class. We have a very interesting Monsters and Men that's kind of a springboard for some Gothic literature and how to, what happens when the lines are blurred between monster and human. So good creative ways for folks to engage. Some studies of G.K. Chesterton. Our courses last either a full year long. Some of our courses are only a semester long, and some are even workshops, which can last like 8 to 10 weeks. So we welcome you to check those things out. Parents, we've heard you loud and clear. My children need to know how to manage money in the practical real world. Well, welcome. Faithful stewardship at your service. Then also we have some exciting new growing language opportunities. You can learn so many languages at Scholé Academy, but this year in particular, we have an additional French class, an additional Spanish class, an additional German class, more Greek. So check out all the new languages that are available, okay? And that's just a tip of the iceberg. Next, for the bundle discount. We have historically always offered families the opportunity at both middle and high school to bundle history and literature because they go so beautifully together. And if you put these certain matching pairs together, you can get a discount. But this year we added a little bonus, a companion. So if you bundle the ancient world history and the ancient world lit, you can tack on a mythology and then get a discount on all three. Now, don't worry. If you're like, well, my child can only take this one or only, you can still choose any one of these a la carte. But if you do select either the two main ones together, ancient world history and literature, or all three, you can get a discount. Same goes for Middle Ages. You can get a discount by also studying Dante's Divine Comedy with that. Same goes with British Lit and Western History. We have a really exciting new course called Imagination in the Industrial Age, and students will get to read all kinds of fascinating kind of sci-fi material and so forth. The Old Faithful, well-beloved, we have always offered American history and government, but this year, especially with the production of the Humanitas series and we have a full line of American history, American literature, and then you can add on an American government to that. And when you bundle all three of those, you do save over $250, which is great. You can do the same with 20th century history and literature, and then add on a current events. Any one of these are amazing studies all by themselves, but we've also heard from you that some of you are looking specifically for a high school credit. Like, I need a semester credit in current events, or I need a semester or a year credit in government. So that this is our answer to those needs. Now, in addition to the new stuff, I just want, especially if you're new to Scholé Academy, I want you to be aware that we can't even go over everything that is available, but here's some high-level popular ones that you want to not miss if you can help it. Latin for children, a very popular one. Our dean of lower school is Amanda Reeves. She serves families beautifully. We have multiple Latin instructors, but if you want to hear more from Amanda in particular, sign up for our live learning event that's taking place a few weeks from now. But that's a very popular series and course, Latin for children. You can continue your Latin studies all the way up. The dean of our Latin department, Mr. Eddie Katinsky, a real language expert. He also teaches many of our high-level Greek courses and so forth. So you can continue your Latin studies all the way up to advanced Latin. And as we already said, come to, Scholé Academy for learning logic, and you will not be disappointed. You can take the art of argument, discovery of deduction, very popular courses. Then, of course, in the sciences, our youngest students can study nature and have beautiful nature journals, and those leaf collections that Presbytera and the rest of us remember is a beautiful opportunity for them. And then, getting serious with the sciences in a beautiful, delightful way is the whole Navarre line of science. And Navarre is famous for saying we are combating this idea of cram, pass, and forget. Instead, it is a mastery model so that students really absorb things. And you may have noticed at the beginning of this talk, we introduce stuff that we remember, meaningful projects that Presbytera remembers, Allison remembers, Nancy remembers, these moments of memorable learning. That's what we're aiming for, memorable, soul-forming learning. So you can take any of these sciences with us all the way up. And speaking of popular science, author and beloved instructor Chris Hall teaches for us the common arts. He also teaches earth science, teaches some astronomy. So you can't go wrong. The class of common arts with Chris Hall, it becomes quickly people's favorite course. Well-ordered language is an award-winning grammar line, but grammar doesn't even touch it. There's music, there's diagrams, it becomes a student's favorite course. I love grammar. Since when? well-ordered language will do it. It's an amazing line, and you can take any of those courses. And you heard it said often this evening from parents that writing and rhetoric is just beautiful. It's these rich readings, and then the opportunity for students to emulate masters in their own writing and rhetoric skills. So, friends, that's just a little taste and touch of some of the things that can be enjoyed and looked forward to as courses at Scholé Academy. But I don't want us to assume that, it's the courses alone that make us unique. There is this one other critical component that is, I don't think there's any other place out there like this, and that is with our setup for houses of study. In our great hall, it is a distinctively Christian and ecumenical environment where many traditions gather to learn and grow together. But we also recognize how distinctive the varied traditions are. And so we offer houses of study where you can go and learn according to a unique, particular Christian tradition. Whether in our Canterbury House of Studies, you will learn according to the Anglican tradition and broadly Protestant ideals. In the Aquinas House, you can learn according to the Catholic tradition. And in St. Raphael School, you can learn faithfully among friends in the Orthodox tradition. So I'm going to invite friends now to join us from behind the curtain. And these are the chairs of our particular houses. And as our chairs join us, they're going to be able to just greet you and say a hello and welcome you into that particular house of studies. And as they come in and join us, we're going to show you some student-made videos. And listen, when I tell you, we did not script these. We told students, hey, you've taken a class in the Aquinas House, or you've taken a course in Canterbury House, or you've been with St. Raphael School. Can you just put yourself on video and tell us how it was? That was about the extent. Tell us what you've taken. Tell us how it was. These students took that assignment seriously, and they presented us some very sweet unscripted videos that we thought this would be pretty informative for you. So we're going to start with I believe the Canterbury House of Studies will play a video of some students reflecting on the Canterbury House, and then I'll ask our house chairs, both our current house chair, Rhea Bright, and then our incoming house chair, Father Nathan Dickinson, to speak to you after we watch this quick video. So if we have that queued up, go right ahead.
Hello, my name is Amelia Thompson, and I am currently taking Moral Theology and the Sanctification of Time with Mrs. Bright. I have really enjoyed this class. It has made the study of virtue that can sometimes seem very aloof and far off from the sort of nitty-gritty everyday life very accessible and enriching to my own thought process around the choices that I make and how they'll ultimately affect the person I become, and even now how they're affecting my relationship with God and with other people. Mrs. Bright has a very deep understanding of this more complex subject matter, which has been super helpful to me, and also having lively discussions with my classmates has made it a lot more understandable to our own lives. This has been my first class with Canterbury House of Studies, but I have super appreciated the style and depth of thought that it has been introducing, and also I appreciate that the format is more of a college seminar discussion style instead of a like high school lecture series. So I have been really enjoying my time.
My name is George Green, and I'm currently taking the Anglican Foundations course in the Canterbury House of Studies. The course is taught by the head of our house, Mrs. Rhea Bright. The course I'm currently taking describes in depth the history of the church and describes how it shaped and formed the Anglican Church today. When I first started this course, I was very interested in church history, which isn't a bad thing, but at that time I was only interested in history. As the year went on, occasionally in our classes we'd have very, very interesting discussions that I just didn't want to end, because I was just learning so much about not only the church, but also the faith as a whole, and I was just understanding more about the practices that we do today in church, and also how they linked back to the practices of the early church. That's just so interesting. I felt like I was being drawn so much closer to God throughout the whole thing. If I had not taken this course, I definitely would have missed out on a great opportunity to learn about the church, but I also wouldn't have understood my faith as deeply as I do now. Because when you learn about all the practices of the church, you also start to understand why we do things and the depth and the spiritual meaning of it. And I just wouldn't have understood that if I didn't take this course. I love this course. It's just excellent to have a set of courses designed to teach you a lot about your faith. And I very, very much look forward to doing more courses next time.
Hi, my name is Kate, and I'm currently taking 2 classes in Canterbury House, Moral Theology and the Sanctification of Time, and God's Great Covenant, New Testament 2. One of my favorite things about these classes is the small class size. We get to have really good conversation together and get to know each other more. Everyone gets to contribute to the conversation, so we're not only learning from our teachers, but from our classmates as well. Our teachers are so enthusiastic about what they are teaching, and they get to know their students and our learning styles so they can teach the material in the best way for the students. They also come up with really creative and fun learning ideas and project ideas so that we can have fun learning. My favorite part about taking these classes is how they help to strengthen my faith. We learn about different aspects of God's character, and we get to see His power and love at work as we read the scriptures together. We also get to learn how we can become more like Jesus. The classes I'm taking in Canterbury House are by far my favorites out of all of my classes this year because of how supportive of a learning community I get to be a part of and how much fun we have.
So without further ado, Rhea, would you like to greet the fine folk and just tell them a little about Canterbury?
Yes, I'm delighted. Yes, very, very grateful to be here with you this evening. And I just want to say a personal note before I go on and talk about Canterbury House, just what a joy it has been for me these past few years to be involved with Scholé and Canterbury House. The students, they make my day every day. And we have wonderful teachers, supportive admin. It really has been a joyful and restful experience for me. If anybody is interested in religious studies for your children, your families, please take a look at our courses. We have courses in biblical studies, in C.S. Lewis that are particularly popular, and other offerings as well. We welcome and embrace Christians of all denominations, and we get students of all denominations. One of the words or concepts we've been talking about in one of my classes this year is the idea of edification. Paul talks about the edifying of the body of Christ, the building up of the body of Christ, and how there are a diversity of members in that body, but there is one body under one head, and we welcome that kind of diversity. We have invigorating conversations, I know, in all our classes. So that's really all I have to say at the moment. Please, I invite you to look over our course studies and consider taking some of our courses. So over to you, Nathan.
Hello. Greetings from wild and wonderful West Virginia. I am Father Nathan Dickinson, a church planter and priest here. I've had the distinct joy of serving in the Canterbury House of Studies for, I think I'm in year 3. Time, it's a thing. I just want to reiterate much of what Rhea has said. We do offer a broad spectrum of classes, but the heart behind each one of those classes is to assist you parents in rooting your children in the gospel of Jesus Christ. Our desire is to help you in a restful and rooted way pursue the love of God. Lewis you can quote Lewis all day, but one of the things that Lewis says is that sometimes good philosophy must exist simply because bad philosophy does. And we understand that we live in a world where there are many voices saying many different things that are opposed very simply to the gospel of Jesus Christ. So we want to help you root yourself and your children in that gospel which never changes. And we can do that through looking at our family history, like the early church, C.S. Lewis, all sorts of other delightful things. So it's a joy to partner.
Thank you so much for being with us this evening and just showing your fine faces. As I said, Rhea Bright is the current chair, but she is going to be passing that torch along as she really digs in and enjoys grandchildren life. And we love that. We affirm like real involvement and engagement with our families at all ages. And if I haven't said it already, I want to say to you families, we see ourselves as partners. We see you as your child's primary educator. That's why everything that you take with us is can be selected a la carte, and it's not a wholesale, like just hand your child over to us and we'll take it from here. We will take that baby of yours for however much you want them to take with us. But we really honor and respect your role as their primary educator and the administrator of your homeschool. And so we affirm families heartily, and we welcome them into our houses of study as partners with you in your child's faith formation.
Hi, my name is Kate, and this is my second year taking classes in the Aquinas house. Last year, I took the Growing Church Medieval World with Mrs. Tisha Frost, and this year I am taking the Growing Church Modern World, also with Mrs. Frost. Mrs. Frost's classes have been fantastic. I've always loved the church and history, so combining those two things has been great. We study artwork and have great class discussions, and every quarter we work on a project of our own choosing. I have done a royal crest, a model of the Cathedral of Notre Dame in Paris, written book reports on the lives of St. Francis and St. Benedict. I've learned a ton in these classes and been able to make connections between history and the church that I otherwise would not have made. It's been a really enjoyable way to connect with other students and learn history.
Hello, my name is Alyssa Jasko, and I have two children who are taking classes in the Aquinas House of Studies with Scholé Academy. My son is currently taking the Growing Church in the American World. He has also taken the other two Growing Church classes, the Medieval World and the Modern World. My daughter is currently in the Growing Church in the Modern World, and she's also taken the Medieval class. My children list the art studies, history detectives, and creating a timeline as some of their favorite parts of the class. And I enjoy watching them work on the end of term projects. These projects allow the children to interact with some part of the time period that resonated with them specifically, and to do that in a personal way. My favorites of these projects have been to watch them create a coat of arms for themselves in the medieval class, and they both were inspired to write creative poems in the Modern World class as part of their projects. The Aquinas House history classes provide my children with a solid overview of each historical period, and I love that they learn the Catholic Church history and saints' lives right alongside that, so they can see how the Catholic Church and saints play a role in the story of the world. These classes are a valued part of my children's education, and we are so thankful and blessed to have been able to participate in them for the past 3 years.
My name is Addison. I'm taking Growing Church, Modern World, and Theology of the Body. Last year I took Medieval World, where my favorite project I did was about the Bloody Tower, and I made it out of cardboard. If I didn't take these classes, I would have missed out on learning about the church and making friends that are Catholic that are my age, which is difficult where I live. I really enjoyed the classes in the Aquinas house, and I'm really glad my mom put me in the Medieval World class. I'm excited for the rest of this year and the next to come.
And so with that, I want to welcome Miss Monica Meinhardt, who is the chair of our Aquinas House. Monica, can you just introduce yourself a little bit and tell us a little bit about Aquinas House?
Yeah, thank you. So, as Dr. Blake said, I'm Monica Meinhardt. I'm the chair of the Aquinas House, the Catholic House of Studies. We're rooted in the Roman Catholic tradition. And this is our 4th year as a Catholic house in Scholé Academy. So, of course, Scholé has been around much longer than that. And I was so excited to hear that there was going to be a Catholic House of Studies because we were involved with Scholé going way back. I mean, our first introduction to Scholé was through Classical Academic Press and discovering the Greek for Children series, because I studied Greek in college and I wanted my kids to learn Greek. So anyhow, I was so happy to see the Catholic House of Studies created, and something kind of unique, something really unique about the Catholic House of Studies is that we offer classes that are different than what you can find. Now, I hope that churches maybe offer classes like this in the future, right? But at the current moment, I think we offered classes different than what you will find in a Catholic church. Different than Catholic religious education. And I say that as someone who has worked in Catholic religious education and youth ministry for a long time also. But I know just from my own children, I homeschool my children as well. And just from hearing from them, for them going to Catholic religious ed at church is sometimes a lot of memorization, a lot of preparation for sacraments, but with a certain end in mind. All good things, but in Scholé Academy, we try to kind of develop more specific ideas and obviously restful. I've got to just say some of the classes to explain what I mean. So theology of the body, for instance, this was something that we started a few years ago. We had an idea. We wanted to start it, but what we had to do was find, of course, the right teachers to teach it, people who were passionate, well-educated, devout Catholics, who really knew what they were talking about and could come at it from just the right angle so that you can do theology of the body wrong. And if you're Catholic and you've had experience with this, you know what I mean. And so we try to find teachers who that is their passion. They love these subjects. And so currently those classes, that just happens for theology of the body. Likewise, we offer a philosophy class, and we found a teacher who that's his passion, philosophy, Catholic philosophy. And so these are classes that you, again, won't necessarily find at your Catholic church, maybe one day. And we want to offer them to you, to your children, so that they can hear not just about the topics, but to hear from other Catholics around the world. And I think that that's really the most unique aspect is that, we get used to kind of our somewhat insular view of Catholicism sometimes within our own parish, within our own diocese, and to enter into these courses and to engage with students from all over the world. We've had students all from different countries, but each parish is so unique, and each individual student, I teach a class on the Mass, and our experience of the Mass at all these different churches throughout the world is so different. And so they get to hear from each other and explore their faith through not just their own lens and their family's lens and their parish's lens, but from one another. And I could go on and on, but yeah, I'm very excited about what we're going to offer next year. We have a lot of new classes. We're offering classes in a variety of ways too, trying to respond to families' requests essentially. So classes that maybe used to be year-long, some of those are semester now. So hopefully you can squeeze it in if you weren't able to in the past. Some we left as year-long because that's just the way we had to do it. It wouldn't be done well otherwise, and we want to try to do, and that's true with all Scholé classes, I think, want to try to do the best we can with each class. So yeah, I invite you to look at the classes and also make recommendations. So if you have any suggestions, like I said, this is the 4th year of the Catholic House of Studies. I think this is true, right, Dr. Blake, for all of Scholé, really. If you have suggestions of what you'd like to be taught, send them our way. And we take those really seriously and then try to find the right instructor for them. So we're not just going to offer classes. We're going to just really curate things and try to get things how we feel as though it's going to be best. So yeah, I invite you to look at our classes and join us next year.
Thank you so much, Monica. And you touched on so many important and beautiful things. And I want to reiterate to families that all of our houses of study, whether Protestant, Catholic, or Orthodox, are open. The doors are open. And so you don't have to be affiliated with that particular tradition to be able to take a course. You have to come with a humble learner's disposition, ready to listen and to learn. In my own family, we've dotted around in the houses too, because it's just such rich and rewarding. And I don't know another Christian education that matches that variety and diversity of really experiencing God's people all over the world. So thank you so much. Now, last but certainly not least, our Orthodox house, St. Raphael School, is our oldest house of studies, our most established school within a school, and it is chaired and led by the principal, Presbyter Maria Koulianos.
Yasu, my name is Dalvin Parcells. I'm taking a few courses with St. Raphael School. The courses I'm taking are Saints in Geography, Orthodox Saints, Nature and their Animal Friends, Greek Reading and Literature, and Acrylic Iconography workshops for the year. I have taken other courses like Greek 1 in Dormition and Nativity camps. I like the courses because they strengthen my faith, like the iconography courses that I'm currently taking. This is my icon that I've made. I'm still working on it though. If I didn't take an SRS course, I would not have learned as much about saints and their roles in my life. SRS courses have strengthened my faith by teaching me to apply what I have learned to my everyday life. I love SRS instructors like Gideon Ramona and how they challenge me.
Hello, my name is Aveline and I'm currently taking the American Short Stories class with Presbyter Maria. In the past, I've taken 4 different Greek classes and a liberal arts class here at St. Raphael School. Courses at SRS are great because you really get to know your teachers and classmates over the year. It's always sad to have the classes end. Also, in each SRS class, you actually learn new things. The content is always solidly Christian in a way that hasn't changed in thousands of years, and we're not getting bombarded with the lies of the current culture. The teachers don't waste or fritter class time, but every minute of the class is carefully used. As someone who loves learning, I'm thankful for this. One special class was liberal arts, and the book list really excited me. I loved discussing the books we read with my classmates and working on projects together. And Mrs. Savage was our beloved teacher. I loved her and I miss her. She was really fun, and after working hard re-studying each book, we got to do some kind of project. I still have the diorama I made for The Wind and the Willows displayed on my bookshelf. The American Short Stories class I'm currently taking is great because it's challenging. The reflective essay prompts are really thought-provoking. Presbyter Maria is a great teacher because she always starts a really interesting discussion every class, and she also makes us laugh. She also really cares about each one of her students. Something I loved about the Greek classes I have taken is learning and memorizing the prayers in Greek. When I took my first Greek class, we spent an entire year on learning the alphabet, and with each letter, we learned about a saint whose name started with that letter. Since then, I've been learning more about Greek culture and Orthodox saints and feast days. I'm glad that I have learned these beautiful prayers in both English and Greek. I love that they are now in my heart because they are so beautiful and always make me feel the joy of Christ, which makes me peaceful and happy. Ayos o Theos, ayos iskiros, ayos o thanatos, eleison imas. Ευχαριστώ.
So, Presbyter, I'm going to hand it off to you. Greet these fine folk.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for all your questions. You have kept me busy behind the scenes as I've, practically tried to respond to you all and collect the questions so that we could take care of all of those during our Q&A session. St. Raphael School, as Dr. Blake has mentioned, is our Orthodox House of Studies. And not only are we an Orthodox House of Studies catechetically in the tradition of the Orthodox Church, but we also are a full-fledged liberal arts program. Actually, we are an integrated liberal arts program, and many people ask, well, what is integrated liberal arts? Well, I'm glad you asked. The integrated liberal arts basically takes reading, writing, rhetoric, history, sociology, natural science, and poetry, along with Christian studies, and puts them into one course using good and great books. And we have a comprehensive program that starts from kindergarten all the way up to grade 12 when it comes to the liberal arts. So not only can you come to St. Raphael School for catechetical reasons, but you can also come for a full integrated liberal arts program. In addition, we have a full-fledged iconography program, K to adult, and we offer languages in Greek, Arabic, Russian. So we definitely offer various courses that suits the needs for all of the family, children and adults. But what the beautiful thing is, and I think Allison Morris mentioned this, is, and this is true for all of us at Scholé, is that we really are a tight-knit community where you would think that in the online community, it would be impersonal. Really, we do have close relationships, and we do foster, and we do look at each other, and we know the person. And that's not just for the students, and that's not just for the instructors, but that's also for the parents, the families, and the community at large. And so we really have that as a vital component. And what I like to say is we love, we laugh, and then we learn, in that order. So St. Raphael School boasts, oh goodness, Miss Allison told me the number. What was the number again, Allison?
Oh, just for St. Raphael School?
Yes.
Give me 1 minute. I'll get you in just a second. Let me look it up.
Okay, so Allison's gonna look it up, but we boast several hundred courses just in our house, and they range in various categories, but all within the liberal arts tradition. So, you know, in our house, you won't find math and science. You'll have to go to the Great Hall to find that. But everyone, as already has been said, is welcomed to the Orthodox House of Studies. And of course, we have our strictly catechism courses that just talk about our church and our traditions. But within the liberal arts program, just like on all of our classes, we have an umbrella that definitely has that lean to it, but it's not something that, you know, you're not welcome to join. So if you have any questions, I am here to help. Allison, what's that number?
That number is 96 sections just for St. Raphael School.
Woo! Okay, there we have it, 96.
So friends, these are our fabulous house leaders, and you can reach out to them. You can find all of our instructors' bios and information. And some of you families are like, well, it's a new course and there's an instructor and I don't see their bio. We are working frantically to get it up there for you. We have vetted these people and we believe in them. But we understand you need to be able to see their bios. So we're working on it. In the next couple of days, you're going to see as many bios and instructor info as you can. I'm going to navigate quickly to our website so that you notice a few things that are maybe new or that maybe you hadn't noticed before. And then I will let Presbytera just give you a note about the tutoring center, so that if not just our courses, but also we can serve you if you have like desire for private course instruction. On our website, you want to find the all courses page. That all courses page has lots of info. You can toggle to lower, middle, or upper, depending on what you need. But this is what I wanted to draw your attention to if you hadn't seen it before. And I saw a question in the Q&A box about this, like, what if we're brand new and we're not quite sure and we just need some, like, what do we take? Well, again, we're not trying to script for you your own parenting decisions about your child's education. But if you click on that little thing called curriculum map, that should help you. Did that? Are you guys able to see that curriculum map that I just showed you? Okay, so that we have something like this for lower, middle, and upper. So if you're just trying to get your feel for what should they take, well, this is the rundown of what we offer in these various disciplines. Okay, friends, we heartily welcome your child 3, 4, even 5 classes, but we do not recommend much more than that because, again, we believe in a restful approach to learning. So, and you can also take just one or 2 classes. So note that if it has this little icon, it's offered in a particular house of studies. And if it has a star, it's a brand new course. And all of our lower school classes meet according to this bell period. And then, like I said, you can toggle to the middle or upper school. Same thing. You can find a curriculum map for middle school, and you can find a curriculum map for the upper or high school as well. So hopefully that gives you a good lay of the land. Click on any one of those. I also saw a message in the chat about, are we offering Euclidean geometry? Well, yes, we are. And it's right there under mathematics, under the upper school. So if you click, we'll just click on that as an example. You click on a given course and it's going to take you to that course page. You can find out the basic description, any course materials that you might need for this class. You can get the instructor bio here. And this is the basic info for you to be informed about the class and what time it takes place, the cost of the course. On Thursday, when enrollment opens, there'll be a little burgundy button here and it will say enroll. And that's what you do. You click it and you follow the steps to enroll. Now, friends, if it's grayed out and says waiting list, it means 15 people got to it before you did. We cap our courses about at 15 students. And so some of them are really snatched up quickly. So if the course you were looking for is snatched up, then you have 3 options, friends. 1, get on the waiting list and pray hard. Get your life right. Then if you're on the waiting list, that's perfectly fine. You can sit there on the waiting list. We keep careful look at the waiting list and try to inform people quickly. Then you can also, in many other classes, there's more than one section. Euclidean geometry is a little unique, but like, let's say you want, writing and rhetoric 3 or something. There's probably 7 or 8 sections of that. Pick a new section. Can you be on a waiting list for one and enroll in another section? Yes, you can. So pick a new section, because if that waiting list never opens up, go ahead and enroll in something else. And last but not least, if you're like, well, none of the other sections work for me and I can't wait on the waiting list or things like that, that is why we have our tutoring center, because the tutoring center provides a lot of different services to families, and one of them is full private course instruction. So without tooting that horn too much, I'm going to hand it to Presbytera to tell these fine folks, as Presbytera is also the manager of the Tutoring Center.
Well, I'm so happy to tell you about our tutoring center. Our tutoring center boasts of quality instructors that can help you with your homeschooling students at varying levels, whether it's enrichment, whether it's differentiation, whether it's accommodations, whether it's you just want a private course, whether it's because the course isn't offered at the right time. So when you come to our tutoring center, you'll notice there's supplemental tutoring, private course instruction. We even offer custom instruction for groups. Those groups could be two students, semi-private instruction, 3 students, or if you have a co-op that you would like to have exclusive class for that co-op, you can have one for 4 or more students. And we also have the Center for Students with Learning Differences, in which we have special needs instructors that can work alongside you and your students to help with various things like dysgraphia, dyslexia, dyscalculia, various type of learning differences, executive functioning that we can assist and help with. If you're interested in something like this, you can just go to the actual page, and each page, depending on what you're looking for, has an intake form. and you fill out this intake form, and the intake form will come to me. I will read that. I will look that over. I will contact you, and I will make a match with the instructor, and you can receive a free consultation and see if that's something that would be a benefit to you and your child in your homeschool. And then after that, we can then set up a schedule and get the help that you require. So we definitely serve many families in our tutoring center. In January, we served over 180 assignments. So our tutoring center is quite large, and we serve our families well. So don't be afraid to reach out and see if it's a good fit for what you need.
Thank you so much. And families, I know we're right up here on the hour mark, and we thank you so much that you've been with us. We're going to hang for a bit as the admin team. Our house chairs are probably there still in the background as well, and just any of these folks, we're going to hang and use the remainder of another 20 minutes or so for just some Q&A as we see what has come into the chat. So for those of you who you've gotten the information that you need, and this has been, hopefully satisfactory to you in giving you the intel in order to make good decisions as you head into Thursday is re-enrollment for current families. The enrollment for if you're a brand new family is Monday, February 10th, starting at 9 a.m. Eastern time. So we welcome you to enroll in one course or many courses. Yeah, we trust that you'll be delighted and really ministered to as part of the Scholé Academy family. So we thank you so much for joining us this evening. And we pray that you have the insight and wisdom of the Lord as you continue to make decisions in your family's best interests and their education. Thank you again. And you are free to go, as they say, but we will hang out here, and you're free to stay too. Free to stay and listen as we do a little Q&A from here. So, Allison, Nancy, Presbytera, you have been working frantically in the background and seeing things. So
yes,
let's just open some things up that we maybe haven't answered yet.
Yes. So one of the questions I think would be great for you, Joylyn. Can someone speak to how the restful learning translates to the college campus, where the education can often be more fast-paced?
Oh, that's a great question. We can't control the college campus, and sometimes we wish we could. There's been a lot of actually new startup colleges that one right here in Texas and down in Houston and others that are seeing some of the things that are systemically problematic in the way that college education is done. And I wish we could reach in and take that, make that change. We can't. But I will say that nothing about our approach under-equips a student. I would say, if anything, it fortifies them for entering worlds that may be a little bit more frenetic, because hopefully they have learned to read deeply, to digest meaningfully, and to be critical thinkers. Also, we even have just some practical things, like we have scholarship skills workshops and courses, and we have, ways that we equip students for organizing their lives and planning their time and using their executive functioning skills. So when they enter the college world, they have the resources and the tools to navigate that, even though the pace may be different from kind of what they were familiar with. But I mean, let's be honest, college is going to be different from homeschooling, period. You're going to find that that's a different world for them to enter. But I'm going to ask Allison, because Allison's got some kids still at home and some kids that have launched into college, as do I. Allison, is there anything else that comes to mind that you want to speak to on that particular question?
Yeah, so I do. I have college age kids, and I've worked a little bit in that sector as well. And I think kind of philosophically, we're working with student formation. And so your students being formed with the tools of learning, to equip them for whatever God calls them to do. And if that would be, you know, a higher education kind of pathway, then they'll be well equipped to do it. I think just going from homeschool to an online, more organized, structured class sequence in and of itself kind of fosters some of those executive function skills that Dr. Blake was mentioning, you know, due dates and learning to advocate and respond to an instructor and to take notes and those sorts of things that when we're learning at home, and I homeschool my own children too, it's not quite the same. And so going into an online class environment like we offer gives you a little bit more well-rounded experience that definitely equips students. And we've had lots of really great success stories from students who have gone on from our classes.
I brought on, hello, Mr.
Katinsky,
Katinsky.
welcome.
I made Mr. Katinsky a panelist for two reasons. One, because he said in the chat, there is some similarity between Scholé and college in as much as classes only meet twice a week. I didn't know if you wanted to speak into that a little bit more. And then I have a follow-up question about Latin. So that's why I brought you on.
Yeah, so thinking about college, like I think of it obviously from the Latin perspective. There's a lot of independent learning that students learn as they move. I teach middle through high school, so as they move from sixth, seventh, eighth to the high school level, and the students become more and more independent, and they're meeting twice a week, and that's a lot of what you see in college as you go to class. And then you do a lot of the work on your own and you come to class and then you bring what you've done. And so I think that you know, you're going to see that your kids are really well prepared for that.
Okay, very good. Latin question. Where is it? Here it is. I switched my son from Henley Latin 2 to Latin Alive 3, and he was totally overwhelmed with the amount of vocabulary in each lesson. Is it more restful if students start earlier with Latin for children? I'm deciding what to do for my next son, who I think would do better with Scholé due to special needs.
Yeah, I would say yes. Starting earlier is going to make it better. Also, one of the things about switching curricula is it always is a lot harder because each textbook teaches different vocabulary, and eventually you'll get the same grammar, but it's really hard when Henley teaches a whole set of vocabulary that's focused on Caesar, and you know, our Latin Alive series kind of gives a smattering of all different authors, and so it's not focused on the same exact group of readings and things like that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Some logistical questions came up, so I'm just gonna group them all together. So maybe Nancy, you can help us out with this. Will the 40% off of Classical Academic Press cover all the textbooks we'll need for both of our Scholé classes? Last year, I noticed that it didn't apply itself to all of our course texts, and my thinking was maybe there was a limit. However, when my children sign up for 6 and 7 Scholé courses apiece, I need to know what to do so that all the Classical Academic Press tests will be discounted for the early enrollment. If the 40% should cover all cap, we need to order.
I'll speak to that, and then Nancy
Okay.
can chime in if needed. The discount applies to published materials by Classical Academic Press. I mean, obviously, like Classical Academic Press doesn't have its own math line yet. So if you take a math class with us, we can't give you a coupon for whatever resources are going to be used there. We offer an array of courses that some use CAP textbooks and then some don't. Many use CAP textbooks, but some don't. So for the ones that do not use Classical Academic Press textbooks, obviously the coupons won't help for that. The coupon will help for when you use it and whatever you're purchasing on the CAP website. So if you if you use that, like load up your cart for whatever it is you need, then the coupon is going to apply. Have I answered that adequately? Okay.
Okay.
All right, and I will say, if Scholé Academy instructors, if we see you in the attendees list, you just might get a little Eddie Katinsky treatment. Maybe raise your hand if you're willing to be brought into the room. We could just say, hey, bring you in, and you could say, hi, look, here, Nathan's back, and thankfully Miss Morris is back there behind the curtain if, parents may have really solid answers to some questions. So,
So for you, Dr. Blake, is Scholé accredited? Does the student receive a diploma when they graduate? And piggyback on that, do you plan to have a high school diploma program in the future?
Oh, that's a great question. Scholé Academy does not have a diploma program, nor are we officially accredited. And right now, there isn't apology about that or any direct intention to move in that direction. That's for a few reasons. One of them is, again, our strong respect for homeschooling families. And as most homeschooling families can attest, we get into colleges all the time. My children got into colleges all the time. Colleges admit homeschoolers all the time. In fact, they're actively seeking them out now. You can find all kinds of research out there that's classic learning test scores, SAT scores or ACT scores, just a few little external markers of how they're doing, not to mention portfolios that they build as a homeschooling student and the things that they're able to produce and the way they're able to present themselves, oftentimes in interviews and stuff. We found no obstacle whatsoever in college admission, college scholarships, college, etc. So we want to keep the reins of the child's education squarely in the homeschooling parents' hands. We trust that you are schooling at home for a reason. There are other services, dear friends of ours, that out there that offer a different model or a different approach, and we are grateful for them. But for us, this is the seat we sit in as the ones who want to offer a la carte opportunities for families to select as few or as many courses with us as possible and enjoy them and build your child's transcript from those courses that they've taken with us and the courses you've done on your own at home or with dual credit somewhere and things like that. So that is some of our philosophy and ideology. We have looked into accreditation as an educational services provider, but again, there are same with this is similar to AP courses. We have had many students take AP exams and pass them with flying colors. So our courses we are happy to say, equip a student for doing very well. So why don't we offer AP courses? To offer an AP course, you have to use the standards set by the College Board. But there's nothing that requires you to take an AP course in order to take an AP exam. You can register for an AP exam without having taken an AP course. So we don't offer designated AP courses whose standards were written by the College Board. So we hope that everything we do equips you for great applications, great scholarship opportunities, great success in college. And we don't find that any of these things that we don't do, the diploma track, the accreditation, stands in the way of that for families. So we're aware and mindful that maybe there's some outliers that could impact, but ours is a conscientious decision right now to sit in this particular seat. Okay.
Wonderful. And just to piggyback, someone wrote in the chat, will you be seeking NCAA approval for any of the high school courses? This is important for recruiting eligibility of student athletes.
You are so right, Miss Megan. And that was the one qualifier I was going to say is you are so right about that is the one little piece that we have found that with student athletes, the NCAA does right now seek accreditation verification. And so I can't say that we have an immediate resolution for that other than we're we want to serve these student athletes. But we haven't found a direct way to work in that space when NCAA requires accreditation.
Great. Okay. I just wanted to shout out to Amy Capacci. I did send you a chat ping that said absolutely the tutoring center can offer a place for you to bounce off ideas with one of our CSLD instructors. So just feel free to go to the tutoring center, fill out an intake form, and we can connect you with someone and to get that done. The next few questions, I'm going to group them together because they all run along the same lines, which is curriculum and direction and where to place a student. So overall pathway for middle school and upper school, how do I know what order my students should take courses and the approach of these levels? Rising junior, new to homeschooling, has already taken chem and biology. She still needs to take her science. Is she able to take a course levels listed as a general glide, or can she go ahead and take them even though it's offered for 7th through 10th grade and she'll be 11th grader? So how do we go about where to place students?
Oh, come on. These are such good questions. And thanks, families, for teeing us up this way. Okay, first of all, I'm going to give you a special secret decoder ring for some of our course titles. It is, if it has a Roman numeral after it, that is the secret code for roughly the grade level. Okay, so if you see Math Foundation 6th grade math. If you see children's literature, or sorry, classic literature 7, roughly 7th grade. Well, why don't you say that, Scholé Academy? Again, this is the drum we beat. We love homeschoolers and we believe strongly in a continuum and a range of student readiness, students' needs, student desires. So to answer that question about can my 11th grader take an earth science course that goes up to 10th grade? Yes. Look at that. The celebration. Yes. Now we do have, it's not just, an utter free-for-all. There is a reason that we list the range of grade levels that it serves, because it's to equip you families to know, is this roughly the group that my student would be suited to enter in? If you enroll in something that is outside the grade range, you can. Just know that internally it flags, we get a little flag to say, hey, this student has enrolled outside the grade range. And that triggers us, our instructors, to reach out to you to do a little more questioning so that we're sure it's the right fit, it's the right enrollment. So that there may be a placement evaluation that goes along with that to say, oh yeah, this is the right science spot, or this is the right math spot. And if it's not the quote right spot, the right fit, whether they need a higher level or a lower level, then when they're already enrolled, if it is at our prompting or recommendation, we can transfer them to the correct level at no cost. So it's not a risk to, enroll in what you think is the right choice for your child. And then if there is some kind of flag on our end, we'll follow up and take it from there.
Great, great, great. If whoever asks about instructors auditing other courses is still here, if you could clarify your question. We do not allow adults to audit student courses. I'm not sure what specifically the question is, so if you have clarifying details, please let us know. The question is, when it comes to languages, language classes, how does the teacher assess if the pronunciation is being done correctly? I can answer some of that. Eddie can answer some of that. So when it comes to St. Raphael School, our instructors in Arabic, Russian, and Greek, and I'm part-time, sometimes Greek instructor. For us in SRS, all of our instructors are fluent in their language, right? And the same with Scholé Academy. And so we listen to the students. We don't just have them do written work. So we have them record themselves saying something, or oral examination. Maybe it's in SRS, it's a hymn that we have them do, and they say it, or the Lord's Prayer, whatever it may be. And we listen to them very carefully, making sure they're pronouncing the words correctly. And if not, we help them and correct them and guide them, just like we would do in an English course as well, right? So that's what we would do in SRS. That's how we would assess if they're doing the correct pronunciation. Eddie?
Yeah, I don't even think of pronunciation as something to be assessed so much as
Right,
something to be practiced. And
right.
if I'm seeing pronunciation issues, then we'll practice together, and then we'll point out areas of improvement. So yeah.
Piggyback on that, does someone need to take Russian primer before he can take Russian 1? We will be in 9th grade in the fall, so it's beyond the age range shown for Russian primer. Very, very good question. The short answer is no, you do not, because Russian primer, as you have rightly said, is for a younger grade. So feel free to register for Russian 1. But at the front end, there's going to be a little bit more of a learning curve versus students who are coming in with Russian primer. But the instructors know that, and they do offer the scaffolding needed for those students that are coming in to Russian 1 fresh and new.
So I'm going to chime in here. Thank you so much for all your feedback, everyone. And I'll say families, because we can't obviously turn this into, a personal academic coaching session, but we do want to serve you as best we can. So that's why we have an email address called support@scholeacademy.com. And we would love to help you to answer those questions if we can, insofar as we can. And I did note that someone mentioned in the chat, maybe we have an error in our upper school course map between the history and lit. It may be flipped. So first of all, we say, oops, apologies for that. We'll get it corrected. We'll get it flipped around, but essentially the history and lit are just kind of flipped, but we'll get that corrected and reposted. We just had the designer spruce it up to make it look snazzy, and it was probably the content just got flipped recently. But for those of you who have just stayed on the call, way to go, troopers. Father Nate, Rhea, thank you so much for being here and being available. And Nancy, I know you've been just there in the background, just seeing all the questions that are coming up. Nancy, I want to ask, is there anything you want to say to families, like related to any kind of question that you commonly get, or anything that you want to encourage them, as we know we're going to be serving lots of families in the coming few days? Anything you want to simplify for them or say to them at all?
Sure. So I'm gonna just start off with my most common question that I always get as the registrar, and that is, how do I place my child? Especially if you're new to Scholé or if you're new to homeschooling. And what I always tell parents is, take, say it's a math class or a writing class, take the the textbook they're currently working on, and put that in front of you. Kind of skim through it, see, what they're going to be learning, things that you can maybe even work on throughout the summer if need be, and really, take a look at what your child is currently working on. This is especially if they are switching curriculums or coming from, like, a school system into homeschool. Then go to our website and kind of, say it's math, kind of look at, where you think they would go, and compare that to our class, because we have some classes that kids can kind of be like in the middle. Like, for instance, I had, a family call that their child could take either pre-algebra 1 or pre-algebra 2. And so they were kind of stuck on where to go, or do they take our accelerated, pre-algebra? And so I had the mom open the book, and she skimmed through the material and saw that, you know what? he just needs a refresher course I want to make sure that he has a good foundation in algebra. So I'm going to have him do the accelerated. But by just looking at that and comparing between, what they're working on and what it will be taught, and a lot of our our classes do have a mapping tab when you're in our course description page. And so it kind of gives you more of a breakdown of what is in each class to be taught, the objectives of that class. And so it's a really good way to sit there and kind of place your child. And then after you do pick a class and you do register, especially if your student hasn't taken the previous class with us, they will get some sort of a placement evaluation done with the instructor. So that's kind of like the number one question I always get is, what class do I put my kid in? And the second one is, how many? And truly, most of us, on the admin team, most instructors, we all homeschool our children. And the number one thing that I tell families is, how much screen time do you want your children to have? Always, I always pick the classes that I know that I need someone else to speak into for my child because he is done hearing me. And so he needs someone else besides mom. And then I always like to throw in one or two, classes that he is interested in. And then build a schedule like that. But, like Dr. Blake has mentioned before, we do not offer a full load of classes because that's not restful. That's not Scholé. And so we truly want to serve homeschooling families, whether it's one class or many, because we do have those rare families that, the students take a lot of classes, but take, those classes that you feel like this is what I need someone to do, and then, add in. And I will say, just a little side note, as a homeschooling mom, it is really hard to limit, once you get in your foot in that door with Scholé, like I had this huge wish list for my upcoming seventh grader, and I was like, oh no, hold on, I've got to like roll this back up a little. This is just way too much. So it is nice because once you do find that education, um, that good, solid Christian education, that you just want to take your child take everything, right? But that's not serving them well. And so just, start off slow, and then you could always, add in a fun semester class and do it that way as well.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Nancy. And families, what Nancy said is correct, that just be discerning. And most of our classes meet 2 days a week. Some meet 3 days a week. That's nice. You can do a little back and forth, 2 or 3 classes where this one on Tuesday, Thursday, this one on Monday, Wednesday, and then you can do maybe 2 classes in a day. But what you don't want is back to back to back every single day. You got to build in that space and margin for them to digest. So, Allison, I'm going to turn it to you for any last final remarks, because I don't want you to, there to have been something that we needed to say that you caught, but the rest of us didn't catch. So anything you need to speak to before we go?
I think that we've done a good job of catching the essay spirit, I guess. And I've been with Scholé Academy for lots of years now, and everything we've said is true. I feel like we need some fine print or like a disclaimer at the end that like all of these wonderful things and glowing parent testimonials and instructor interaction, like it is what it is, and everything that you've said we've personally experienced. And so if you're new and you're thinking about joining us, we would love to have you. It's a great place to be. Come and learn with us and have a restful year, and let us be a part of assisting your family in the coming school year. So we look forward to seeing you on enrollment day. That's right around the corner. And I don't know, Dr. Blake's going to share some more details about that, I'm sure.
I will reiterate that re-enrollment for current families is this Thursday morning, starting at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And then those of you who are brand new to us and are curious and eager to enroll, you can start that on Monday morning, February 10th at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. We have families all over that are doing math calculations about the time difference. I have to do it every day. I'm in Central Time, but we run on an Eastern Time schedule. So just note that's when that takes place. So we welcome you to enroll. And I want to ask Father Nate, would you do the honors of just closing our evening in a word of prayer? Would you be so kind?
I would love to. Thank you. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the families who are committed to raising their children in the fear and love of the Lord. Bless them and keep them, encourage them in the work. Father, thank you for Scholé Academy and the gift it has been to me and to so many students that I have met. Bless Scholé Academy, St. Raphael School, Canterbury House, the Aquinas House of Studies. Father, we give this academy and all of its houses to you to do with as you see fit. Thank you for blessing us and keeping us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much for being with us. God bless you. We look forward to serving you in the coming year. Good night.